Ladies and gentlemen, the long-awaited, highly anticipated conversation with the guy you may call Coach Jeff Muhr. Did I get it right?
It's Muhr.
Oh! I tell you,
That's
Jeff.
okay. I can go any way you want, though. We can let it ride if you want.
Oh, good. Thanks, man. It's just so you know, I need an assistant. So if there's somebody with the IWA, Incarnate Word Academy, and I was just out there a couple weeks ago, and just an amazing campus, and I felt the goosebumps, man. I mean, that is a place with scholar champions going all the way through it. You got a magnificent field.
Yeah, thank you. It's a pretty decorated school, too, when it comes to soccer and basketball. But our soccer program, I think they've got 9 state championships and probably one of the most decorated. It's been a little while since we've had one, but early on and, kind of midway through our life here, we've had a lot of really, really good soccer teams, a lot of really good soccer players that have come out of that program.
Well, Jeff, we're doing something unique here at Whale Certified. You're on hands-free Bluetooth, and you just got done with the workout of going into, I don't know, you have a match tomorrow?
We are not. We
Okay.
play Tuesday St. Joe, Thursday Coriezu, and then districts start on Saturday.
I mean to tell you, baby, that'll get you warmed up. That's for sure.
Yes, it will.
Yeah, and it really is in a way. It's that's all it is. It's a warm up because you go through this. You got more on the other side.
Yeah, there probably won't be another easy game if there are such things. It won't be any cream puffs out there, that's for sure, from here on out. So, yeah, we've got our work cut out for us.
Yeah, and so Saturday, do you have a host district team?
Yeah, we're over at. I think we're going to be over at John Burroughs, and we'll match up against. I think we've got the 2:30 game against MICDS.
Well, under full disclosure, ladies and gentlemen, I highly recommend if you don't go there, go somewhere else because this soccer is going off the charts. So if you're by John Burroughs, you get over there and probably like 2 to 3 games at least, huh?
Yeah, I think there's going to be at least a couple games over there, probably a noon and a 2:30 is my guess.
Yeah, man. And everybody plays at the host school. And I mean, to tell you, John Burroughs, that's the place. And just the walk around John Burroughs is really nice.
Yeah, it's another beautiful campus.
Yeah. So here we go. Is that, how do you feel if I would say this? That congratulations, coach, to get those 2 matches, warm-ups, to know what you need to do to beat Saturday. Finish strong, finish with the best to beat the best.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't hide from anybody. If you want to be the best, you do have to beat the best. And I think it's a great opportunity for us, really good barometer to see the progress we've made through the year. We start at a certain point. We try to get better every time we go out, and there's some ebbs and flows in the season, some injuries and things like that you have to adjust to. But this is a great barometer for us. You're not going to find 2 better teams out there. We had St. Dominic last week, and so we've really, the end of our season is tough. But you know what? We've grown as a team and grown as a family, and we're looking forward to the challenge, to going out, and the girls have developed some resiliency throughout the year, and we're looking forward to going out and continue to test ourselves.
Yeah, and that really puts to the point, if you can survive the regular season with its grueling schedules and injuries to this and that, because in Missouri, man, they have you go at it right away. I mean, they don't come on, let's go, let's get these games in, and the Final Four, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of soccer, and we try to scale back our schedule as much as we can. I mean, quantity wise, not quality, but quantity wise, because the kids just it's a 6-day week program for us. If we're not playing, we're training, and it's a long haul. So it's the kids don't get a lot of time off. So it's important that we take care of them physically as well as emotionally, and they need time to rest. They need time to recover, and they say typically 72 to 96 hours of recovery time between games if the kids are playing a significant amount of minutes. And when you get in the thick of the season, there's oftentimes not a lot of that going on, and it's tough to find days to train, where you can get after it because of the amount and the load that you have to either put on them or not put on them. In our case, a lot of times not put on them. So yeah, it's a bit of a challenge.
And the Red Knights of IWA of Incarnate Academy. I mean, to be a Red Knight, man, that's an all-day affair, man. And you don't have you don't have a fifth year to do it. You only got 4, and you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Yeah. And man, I mean, to tell you, Washington University just put up scholar champions, and I mean to tell you, when I came over and watched you girls with that seminar from Todd Bean over from Barcelona, I mean, that was something deal. I mean, that was a real deal. That it goes to show the Red Knights, man. It's soccer mania here in St. Louis.
Yeah, there's so many quality players scattered around the entire metro area, and even if you get out a little ways, there's just great talent. We've got kids across the state that participate in the Olympic Development Program that are national team kids, for an ODP program, and they're all over. I mean, they've got kids in Springfield, we've got kids in Kansas City. So Missouri as a whole, there's just so much quality out there.
Nice going, Jeff. And you belong to the Missouri youth of whatever the title is. I mean, you do all this.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun part of my job for sure. I mean, I spend a lot of time on the computer, but when I get out in the field and I'm with the kids, the Olympic Development Program players, we've got about 720 this year that are playing in our program. And this past year was a phenomenal year for us. We had 39 of our players, boys and that were selected as region team players. So they got a chance to go to, just from Missouri, they got a chance to go down to Florida and play in an interregional championship, and 9 of those players got named to the national team. So we had a couple girls that traveled over to Europe to play with the national team. We had a couple of boys from Missouri that traveled to Florida to play in an Easter International Cup, where we played a bunch of the MLS Academy teams and beat a couple of those teams. And these are kids that we literally get together, we pick them, we bring them in one day early, we train them one day. They're from all over the country, and then we go out and we start playing these academies that train 4 or 5 days a week. So it's really a testament to like how our kids are developing here in Missouri, and the quality of coaching that we're getting them underneath so that they can continue to prosper and develop.
Yeah, now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're not just a bookworm that learned how. You had some playing time in your youth, didn't you?
Yeah, I played all the way through college. I went to Eastern Illinois University, and I played there. I was pretty much a walk-on player there, though. I played with a lot of really good kids, some international kids, some kids that are from around the states that were high quality. So I was pretty much a practice player, but it was not only did I learn some soccer and continue to grow and develop and enjoy the game and love the game, it gave me a chance to meet some great people. Some of them are still some of my best friends to this day. So yeah, I did my fair share of playing. Started playing when I was 9, and yeah, played all the way through. Played some after college. Played in men's leagues just to continue to stay in the sport.
Yeah, man. I miss those days, huh?
Yeah,
Now,
my body, my
how
body
about,
would love to go back out and do that again.
yeah. So, but that's a soccer name, man, which is Muhr. Is that
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. My brother played. He was an Eastern Illinois grad, and he got drafted by the Storm when the professional team was here in St. Louis. He was with the St. Louis Storm for a couple of years, and then he went back to Chicago, where we're from. Played a little bit there with their indoor team. So, yeah, we've been around the game a little bit. He's still here. He's one of my ODP coaches. He does some additional work with the psychology of the sport, which he's getting into. He's a psychology major and just has a lot of experience to share with kids. And it's that part of the game that I think is a part of the game that we don't really talk a lot about. I think you and I listened to Todd Bean talk a little bit about that, the importance of developing that part of the game as well. So, yeah, we've been around. We try to get back to the game and help it get better.
You know that I know that you know that I know, but others may
Yes.
not know, is that
Yeah.
this Todd Bean, you are an educated man. I noticed that from you from the first time I met you. And I would like you to give us all a flavor of what IWA opened up their school, helped with the players to get this seminar, for lack of vocabulary. But can you tell people just what we went through those couple hours, those 4 or 5 hours with Todd Bean?
Yeah, I think we were treated to an opportunity to talk to somebody who has been on the international stage. He's a very well-respected international soccer educator. And, you know, he's the son-in-law of Johan Cruyff, who is a great Dutch player. And, you know, so the pedigree's there. And I think Todd is definitely obviously, you know, going through the seminar, he has dedicated himself to growing the game and, you know, coming up with his philosophy, his model. And there's a lot of them out there. It doesn't mean that any one of them is necessarily the right or wrong, but it's certainly another way to look at things. And it's for me personally, you know, I like to consider myself a lifelong learner, and I've been at this a long time, and I walked away with notes from that event, that seminar, some things that I will use in the future. And I think that's what it's all about, you know, to keep growing as a coach so that we can keep making our environments for our players better. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's our job, is to make better players. And the only way you do that is to create better environments. And the only way to create better environments is to learn and to grow as a coach. So I think we all have a responsibility to do that.
You just got well certified, Jeff, because you are the guy. And I would hug you if I was in your presence. But yes, that's what the deal is. You can't discard what the man said. And correct me if I'm wrong in front of the audience, it's okay. But he said that Barcelona U10 is doing the same type of drills, the same kind of practice that Barcelona first team is doing. There's just that the 10-year-olds aren't doing it as good as but they're doing the same drills.
Yeah, they're probably doing the same activities and you know, with a little more time. Yeah, a little more time, a little more space, a little less pressure so that they can be successful and learn. But, you know, as good coaches, you recognize that. You meet the players where they're at, and as they grow into that, you take away space, you take away time, you increase pressure from an opponent as they get older, and then they develop and prepare these players to go on and play and be some of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's a model out there that they use.
And the story is not about obedient training. Do this, do that. It's about, okay, the ball's coming to you. This guy's here. This guy's over here. What are you going to do? How are you going to? And I don't. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's how you do it. You help the player to get in-game intelligence because of a game intelligence. There's only so much you can do. All right. So, once you find out what not to do, that's a pretty good indicator. You got a lot to know. And then you do that, you become creative. I felt like when I left there, I was more intelligent and I was a creator.
Yeah. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said intelligence. I mean, I think ultimately we want to produce players that can be thinkers on the game. That's part of the beauty of soccer is there's a level of creativity, but there's problems that are presented to players, in different areas of the game, different aspects of the game, different phases of the game. And the players ultimately need to be able to solve those problems. And I think what Todd tries to do is create these players in an environment where they can be thinkers and they can read and understand the game and have high soccer IQ so they can problem solve. Because we, as coaches, I mean, when college coaches and professional coaches, when they look at players, they look at that and they say, can this player go out and solve a problem? How is, what is their game intelligence like? How do they read the game and take all of that into consideration? So I think that, Todd and the promotion of like game intelligence and solving problems is huge.
Jeff, I've never asked this to anybody before, but you got 10 more minutes at least with me? This is a good talk here.
Awesome.
Okay, so here it goes. You got that situation where you said, ladies, Red Knights, this is you. This is how you can really become, soccer players, that footballers that it will carry you for life, and you learn how to be a teammate. You learn how to problem solve and this and that. Is IWA? Is it anything to say? All right, we have a junior varsity. I'm sorry, varsity didn't, or do you have a no-cut policy?
Oh, you there, Kevin? I think I lost you for a second.
Yes, you got me?
Yeah, I got you now. What was the question again?
Okay, there you go. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to say, so you got all the gals now, and you got this educational structure, architecture to be able to do this. And when applied, it's going to be unbelievable. That what is the policy at IWA? Is it no cut, or is it to say, hey, there's a certain way that you have to meet to play varsity, and if you do meet that, there's a good chance we're going to win the state championship. How is that? Because you've been a soccer man all your life. How is the reality of all that?
Yeah, I think that, to be honest, I mean, we're not in a position right now where, we're cutting kids. We've got for the first time in a long time, we've got a straight up JV team, which is nice. We do tactical to help with them, just from a numbers perspective. But we're up a little bit. There's a lot of interest in the school. And as the population grows, you'll have an opportunity to be a little bit more selective. But I'll tell you, every player in our program, all 28 of them that participate, We've had some kids that are, that aren't as far along as our top players. And I'll tell you, we watch for their development. We try to put a focus on individual development as well as team development. So I've watched all of the players, our varsity players, our JV players, and the growth that they've made has been fantastic. And I think that, we try to create that environment for that to happen. Our girls at the beginning of the year, in our first team building activity that we did, and they came up with standards for themselves, hard work, commitment, accountability, and family. And those are the 4 things that we live by. And we try in whatever we do together to keep those standards in mind and to hold ourselves accountable to those. So, there's ownership in that. And I think, the kids that we have, the kids that have been around for a while, know kind of the expectation of what we do and how we do it. And we just try and live that every day, and they're young, and kids are young, and they learn and grow as they continue to mature. And, like I mentioned earlier, there's ebbs and flows in everything that we do. But at the end of the day, we try to get better and move the needle in the right direction every day. And there are days where we don't hit that mark. And that's when we hold each other accountable, and we treat each other like family, and we pick each other up when we need to. That's what we standards that the kids came up with. Those were not our standards from a coaching staff. The kids co-created those with each other, and they delivered those to us. And that's what we're living by. That's what we're trying to do with them every day.
And Jeff, that's why you and Incarnate Word Academy is Wales certified. That was magnificent, man. I got goosebumps. My knees start knocking. Because that's the difference, man. That's the difference. It ain't about the W's. It's about, man, holding each other to a standard of excellence. And that no matter what, we're together. And that way about, I don't know how to play this particular system or something. I don't get that, and I don't want to be associated with something like that. A player doesn't know how to play a system. Cut it out. That's for another podcast. It ain't coming here at Wales Certified. And Jeff, for me, you laid it out. It's about family, and that's the difference between high school and other activities. That it's a family, man.
Yeah, we spend a lot of time together starting in early March, and when you're with somebody 6 days a week for 2-ish hours a day, and we take the kids to Kansas City at the start of the year, and we travel for about 3 days to do that trip. It's just, you really do become a family. And, everybody knows that their families, as you go through life, there's ups and downs and highs and lows, but you're there to celebrate those and work your way out of the ones that aren't the greatest ones. So those greatest moments. So that's what it's about. And, I feel like our group has come together and developed a closeness that's hopefully going to carry us into the playoffs, and we'll have a good run. That's what we hope.
Yeah. And that is,
go ahead.
That's the beautiful thing of having class and style like IWA has. You can see it and you feel it, and you say, man, this is good. And so everybody whispers, Jeff. It was all Jeff's doing.
I can't take all the credit. I've got a great staff, and the kids, the other piece of it is really about trusting each other, that we're always gonna be there for one another, whether it's a coach to a player to player. That's what it's about. At the end of the day, Kevin, you mentioned it. It's not always about the wins and losses. It's about developing people, and people that are going to go out in the world and have an opportunity to touch other people and make life better for other people. And the qualities that we want in our players will allow these kids to go out and achieve great things, whether it's academically, in a job, in a relationship, whatever. So everything transfers to life, and soccer's just been a vehicle for us to teach that and to teach those values and standards. And Yeah, we're pretty blessed. We're really blessed to be able to do what we do.
I'm begging for 5 more minutes, Jeff. So here you go. Are you a teacher of some sort at Incarnate Word Academy?
I am not. My background is education. I taught in public schools for about 15 years, but I no longer do. I did get a master's degree in curriculum theory and design, so I've spent my time while I was educating myself in that world of education. And at the end of the day, that's what we are on the field. It just happens to be that our classroom is the field, and our books that we use are the ball and our teammates. And so we're out teaching. You know, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Last year I went and did my UEFA C license in Germany. And in Germany, they don't call them soccer coaches; they call them soccer teachers. So that's what we do out on the field is we teach.
Yeah, baby. And how with that, you also are with the Missouri, I don't know the title, Missouri Youth what?
Yeah, the Missouri Youth Soccer Association. Every state has an association, and every state has one of me, who's their director of coaching and player development. And my two big buckets that I fill for the state organization is overseeing the Olympic development program. And then I do some work with the region and national level there. And then also coaching education. So when I had this chance to take this job, 7.5 years ago, it was just the perfect blend for me because I love to teach and I love soccer. So this gave me an opportunity to get out. I get to work with coaches in coaching education and teach courses for U.S. soccer. And it's really been just an absolute blessing to be able to go out and do this in my life.
And what an example of magnificence you are to the Red Knights of Incarnate Word Academy. I mean, you are a fine representative, Jeff. Nice going.
Well, thank you very much.
Now, how did you get about it? How did you get Todd Bean of the Tovo Soccer Football, Total Football, TOVO? How did you get him to come over?
I can't take credit for that. I helped orchestrate once we locked him in, but Sam Hackett from our office, I guess he had some connection, reached out to some people, eventually got a hold of Todd, his group, and he put it all together. He made contact, talked about what bringing him in for some training would look like. And he really, he was the driver of all that. And then, of course, our state association, sponsored a lot of that. That was in a really expensive day. And Missouri Youth Soccer, took some of the money that we get from our coaching education program, and we covered about 50% of that. So we were able to give back to the coaches that came there and participated. We covered a chunk of the cost for them. And that's, and we're grateful that we could do that. We really are. As a state association, to be able to give back to our coaches and ultimately try to make better environments for our players, it was a really a great opportunity.
Yeah, I had my ears perked when Boonville and Kansas City were in the house. Do you know of other places?
Yeah, I don't. I don't know how much farther we got beyond that. I know that we had, we had scattered people from all over St. Louis. But yeah, Boonville, Central Missouri, and then moving all the way west to Kansas City. So, what a great opportunity to draw people in and get a nice experience to work with somebody like Todd.
I can't, but I refuse to accept that one is not changed by being there on that Sunday.
Unless you're numb. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff that came out in that 8 hours that we were together.
Man, I mean to tell you, bro. So here you go. You have a good grip of the youth. And because I guess you stop at around mid-level high school.
Yeah, with the ODP program.
Yeah,
Yeah, we go up to. I mean, we have seniors that play. So it gets a little challenging as the kids get older because they have so many platforms these days in the soccer landscape to choose from, and their clubs, make those choices. And sometimes it's really challenging. But I'll tell you what, we had a kid out of Kansas City, Kendra Roberts. She was a three-time national team ODP national team player. Play her senior year. She had committed to a school already. She's going to Missouri State on a soccer scholarship, and that kid, despite the fact she had committed, she had enjoyed the program to a point where she just wanted to keep coming. And she played her senior year, did every event that she possibly could because she just loved the environment. She loved meeting the players and all the experiences that came to her through ODP. So, it was really, I mean, that kind of opened the door because the Missouri State coach, is one of our coaches, and he's a U.S. scout and for the youth national program. And he saw Kendra and tracked her for a handful of years and ultimately made her the offer. So, I think that ODP opened the door for Kendra to get a chance to go and play somewhere. And she fully appreciated it. She embraced every bit of it and just loves the game. Absolutely loves the game.
yeah. And you come from Chicago in the 60s and 70s. They had, just like St. Louis, there was a parallel universe going about the American player up there. And I'm going to have to reach out and ask you, how about the St. Louis area or Missouri area, how to get to go professional or to go to a college university to be able to get into the mix after so many years. And then, even with the going with the junior college for 2 and then the NCAA for 4, all this way. Is it your understanding that the St. Louis, Missouri player, that they have enough to be able to put them to the next level of brilliance to play professional, to be a part of the United States of America development program, and to be, to be able to give back in coaching later on? Are you happy with where we're at, or you think we need a transfusion or two?
I think, what we've obviously, St. Louis market has produced some great players. I mean, you think about Josh Sargent, Taylor Twellman, and there are others, that are out there. Brian McBride, who played at SLU, Chicago guy, but played his college career at SLU. I mean, all guys that have gone on and have national team caps. So there's certainly talent here. And I think a couple of years ago, Kevin Kalish at SLU, I think he lost a handful of players to the MLS draft. And, so the kids are getting there. I mean, there are players in this market and that come to this market for college that can go on and play and will. I think, you asked about an infusion. I would just, and this is just my personal, my background and something that I just am such a firm believer in, is just we need to continue to educate ourselves. I think you can't live on your past laurels. You have to always try to go out and learn the game. The game changes, it evolves, and we need to do that as well. So I just think that everybody should be open, and I think there's some great club leadership in this market that really values education. When we get clubs that ask us to come in and host a D-level course like JB Marine last year, they paid for all their coaches to come and do a D-level license, which is quite a commitment from the club. And, we had the club out in Alliance FC out in Kansas City do the same thing. When we get clubs like that, that shows a real commitment to education and to wanting to become better. And those are things that I think go a long way. So I think if if I could impress upon, everybody is, whether you're club leadership or you're on your own coaching, is just continue to embrace education and just keep learning, and, as you evolve as a coach, you take bits and pieces of this way and that way, this methodology from Todd Bean, this from the German Federation, this from the US Soccer Federation, and you kind of blend it into like what makes you as a coach, and what allows you to create environments that are good for kids to come in and to play. That would be my thought for everybody, is just continue to do that. And when we do that, we're gonna do well with kids. We're gonna keep producing players.
Now, this in closing, is that you had to deal with the our men or ladies going to the high school champions league, and
Yes.
and this is their first season, and everything kind of worked out in a way. Well, then to an expansion to get others who didn't qualify for whatever reason, but to be able to get that type of flair to most high school teams. What's your gut feeling when you hear that?
About the Champions League.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, we were asked about it and we declined, and it was really simply, it goes back to like the whole scheduling thing, Kevin. I think that I would love to see Misha, our governing high school body, put some limitations on the amount of games that kids play. My niece plays at Koryezu, and that adding games is just, for me, wasn't the right thing to do for our kids. We try to get through seasons and manage the load physically that we put our players under, so they have adequate time for their bodies to recover and continue to develop. But we put these kids under so much stress physically, and that's not like the emotional and the mental part of the game. That's just physically, it's a grind. So for me, I was just like, I don't want to add more games to our schedule. When I took over, we talked to the athletic director and we asked him to scale back. Every year he offers to add more games, and I'm like, I'm really good. We had a week just recently where we had 8 days without a game, so we could actually do training. But when you're playing 3-4 games a week and you've got a couple of days of training in between there, you're not really training. You can't go out and put those kids into any more physical stress, because their bodies are just not recovering. So that was my take on it. I mean, was it a collection of some really high quality kids? Yeah, absolutely. My niece played in the final, and I think they won it this inaugural year. I think they beat Liberty 4-1 or something like that. I went out and watched that at Maryville, and there's a collection of great players out there. There's no doubt about it. And, level of excitement was awesome, and, all of that stuff. I think we just have to, in your own environment, you've got to figure out what makes sense for you and your players, and do that, so that you do right by the kids. That's ultimately what we have to do.
All right, then. So there you go. Is there anything that we didn't hit that you wanted me to hit on?
No, boy, this was an extensive interview, and I really appreciate the opportunity to get on and talk soccer with you. I love talking soccer, and boy, thanks a ton. I appreciate the opportunity to get on.
Right on. But in closing, it's been a custom here at Wales Certified to say, hey, Jeff, this is your time to say anything to anybody about anything you want to say, for as long as you want to say it for.
Yeah, I would just, Kevin, I would go back to the education thing. I love when I find coaches that are open-minded and they're open to learning. I think that, we ask our players to go out and practice and train and get better. And I think it's only fair for us as coaches to do the same thing, for us to go out and train and get better. And we ask our kids to get comfortable being uncomfortable when we train them. And I would impress that upon us as coaches too, to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I mean, I've been at this almost 35 years, and last year I was in Europe doing a UEFA course, and it was so refreshing to go out and hear a different federation and their take on things. So I guess my plug would be for education. Keep educating yourselves as coaches, and we will continue to produce and create better environments for these players, and they will ultimately succeed. And in final words, I think that coaching is a gift. When we have a chance to get in front of players and have influence on them and to move them along, not only as soccer players but as people, I think each and every one of us should embrace that as a gift and just consider ourselves lucky to have those opportunities to work with players and to help them become good people and good soccer players. So I appreciate the opportunity to voice that.
Right on. Bravo. And under full disclosure, was your family's friends with the Pope's families?
No, but I have a little bit of an issue because I think that I'm a Chicago Cubs fan, and I heard that.
I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry.
I know most people in St. Louis usually start that conversation that way with me, but I will tell you that I'm a little concerned because he came out and he said what a White Sox fan he was. So but he's a Chicago guy through and through. Chicago guy. I love
Beautiful.
it.
Beautiful. Stay proud, man. Okay.
Absolutely.
So when the next time I see you, I think I'm going to be a little bit more intelligent. You gave me a good education.
Well, hey, thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for all you do for the soccer community.
All right, you big lug. And I get your buddy, oh, man, I forgot the guy, the little Irish guy.
Sam.
Yeah, Sam Hackett, ladies and gentlemen. Try to offer him to come on out. He says he's got nothing to say.
Oh.
Yeah. A humble guy. Yeah. But thank you. And so you know that I know that you know. You're whale certified, Jeff, and almost anybody can be whale certified if they allow themselves to be.
Well, I love it. I'm adding that to my resume. Whale certified now.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. All right, then. I'll upload it, download it, and send it out to this number.
Awesome. Sounds great. I appreciate it. Have a great evening.
Okay, bye-bye.